Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Was chumping on something. I got something stuck in my teeth there. Sorry. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Drop me a comment. Subscribe to the channel. You got to click the bell icon for notifications to know when I go live, such as on Memorial Day at 10:05 Eastern Standard Time. Typically, I do go live between 5 and 6. If you appreciate the content, also, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me even on Instagram as well as TradingView. It's one word. It's Crypto Bull God. I hope everyone has been having a really nice weekend. I've had a chill weekend. I've had a really nice weekend. I was out yesterday in particular. I had a really nice time. I met up with a friend. He's actually my mechanic for my car, and he's turned into a friend. I've known him. I mean, at this point, I've known him for 10 years now, since I've been down here. And he owns a 2011 Porsche Panorama, and he got it at an incredible deal. He bought it with about 20,000 miles on it several years back. He's got about 55 on it right now. What's up, Evan? And he's done some modifications to it with the exhaust, and he let me take that out for a spin. I had never taken it for a drive before. So old man me, it was like 9:20 last night, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go home. I have to take my medication. I have my antibiotics I gotta take because I had something come up last week, and and he's like, come on out. So I'm glad he took me out. We took that thing on 95. I'm not going to speak to how fast I was driving, but it was the rough thing was driving a Porsche. Driving that car made me never want to get in another in another car again. I love my car, but I sat in my car and I was just like, it was a sad moment when I sat back in the Integra. Love my car, but Jesus, that thing can move. That Panorama, holy shit, does that thing drive well. Welcome in, Rashid. Happy Memorial Day. Yes, to anyone who knows anyone or anyone here who has personally served their country, I want to say thank you. And God bless. That is what this day is to remember. Everyone who has served and to be remembered in terms of wars and just in general, just serving in the military. So appreciate that very much. Every American does. I was trying to think of anything else to share from the weekend. That's about it. Besides that, I'm going to try my hand at turkey meatloaf at the end of this live stream. So when I had something going on this week, I had a cooking channel on, and they had a turkey meatloaf that they were making. And I was like, you know what? I've never made turkey meatloaf before, so I'm going to try my hand at a healthy turkey meatloaf. Dice up some peppers and onions and get at it. So, all right. I want to say, we're going to take a look at XRP. You can see I have it up on my chart here. I'm kind of excited based on what I'm seeing in the chart. We're going to touch on that. But, guys, based on how this week closed out, it's important to keep in mind now that it's Monday. It kind of feels like Sunday. It's weird having a 3-day weekend. No complaints, though. Sunday we had the weekly candle close at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Sunday closed in a very bullish manner. We're going to take a look at the weekly close in a moment. But I wanted to talk about what we're seeing in the chart right now. And there's a couple charts that I'll hit on related to this. But as you're aware, if you've been here for a little while, I've been comparing the current moment we are at in time relative to something similar that we saw back in 2020, September specifically, late September of 2020. I've been on record for a while now saying that. I've been on record for a while now saying this is not 2019. That's not where I view we are at in the cycle. And when I say cycle, really it's Elliott wave for me, not a 4-year halving cycle. And if we go back in time and we actually use that premise and say, okay, well, the price action we're seeing right now is similar consolidation to what we've seen in late September 2020, I've sketched out roughly, just roughly, what my expectations are. Basically a rejection here, kind of come back down to this 200 simple moving average on the 12-hour chart again, come up, retest, and break. So why do I say that? Well, if it plays out similarly, and again, history does not repeat, but it does like to often rhyme. If we take a look at what has happened here, we've had, and really technically 3 touches, but I would call this really the main touch. 2 touches. This is our 3rd main touch on this descending line. If we go back in time and we say, okay, well, if we're going to follow something similar, and again, it doesn't need to line up exactly the same. That's not what I'm implying, but I'm saying if it did play out very similar, you can see that we had 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, came back down on this 200 for a 3rd main time, punched up here, and kind of consolidated in this area and then eventually broke up. So that's essentially what I am looking for. And apparently I don't really pay large attention to CME gaps, but I guess there's also a CME gap around 26,800. So that would also coincide with that idea as well if prices came down and filled that gap. Remember, on this channel, what I've said to you is, and I'd actually be interested to take a historical context view and do some number crunching to come up with statistical values that actually put some value on it. But not all CME gaps fill. I don't know if it's 90% of the time or 95% of the time or 80% of the time. I'd have to have some actual a spreadsheet of data with the CME gap and if it filled, and then I could give you probabilities. But I don't or statistical values associated with how likely it is that it'll get filled. I don't have that information, but. So if we do see something similar in nature play out, what we could see going into the beginning of the month is some sort of downtrend towards this $26,800 level or $900 level, and then kind of consolidate in here in the beginning of June, and then I am expecting some sort of rip up. Again, my view for June is I am expecting a very bullish month for June, okay? And again, touched on this last week. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but really if we're going to see if we're going to see a new all-time high this year in Bitcoin, and it's going to be an all-time high that is significant in value, something over $100,000 in value, 110, 120, 130, somewhere up there, we need enough runway to take that plane and take off. So we need enough months for that parabola to play out. So we really need June to come in very bullish, okay? So we'll have to see how June is setting up, but once we get more into the month, how we're looking like mid-month into June, but those are my expectations. Now let's take a look at this weekly chart here. So you can see a couple things going on. I actually just want to touch on the price indicators really quick here. First off, the MACD, we want to try to avoid a negative cross here. You can see we've been running out of momentum here. You can see the blue is still above the orange. They're kind of kissing actually right now. But we want to make sure that this blue is staying above the orange. If we do get a negative cross, it's not the end of the world. It's really the magnitude of it. We could get a small little cross here, but hopefully what we'd want to see is then a push back up. So let's keep an eye on the MACD. I really don't want to see a strong turn to the downside there. But the one thing I really am keeping an eye on, I'm not going to pay as much attention to the RSI. Keep an eye on the stochastic RSI because something very bullish is occurring on the stochastic RSI, okay? Typically when we get a positive cross on the stochastic RSI, now this is a weekly too, so it's more profound on a higher time frame. When we get a positive cross on the stochastic RSI and that blue metric, the stochastic trigger, I think it's the trigger value is what you want to term it. Whatever it is, it's the blue line. When that is above 20, okay, 20 is the magic trigger area here. That's when you can expect some bullish momentum to pick up in price, okay? And you can see right now we are above 20, so the stochastic values are 29 and 28. And the 29 blue line is above the 28. So we've had a positive cross with this past weekly close here. The other thing that was very bullish, now those are the price indicators, but price action is king. So let's take a look at the price action and have a conversation about why this was such a bullish close this prior week, okay? First off, we had a falling wedge here, okay? I'll save this chart by just saying, I pointed to this earlier that everybody was pointing to this head and shoulders that I said was a valid formation on the chart. didn't see it playing out, I offered an alternative view and I said, well, there is a falling wedge on the 2-day. There is a falling wedge on the RSI, and you can see we've broken out of that. Very common now, very common. What do I always speak to on this channel? You break out of descending resistance, very common to backtest in this area, so it wouldn't surprise me to come down to 27,000. But we'd want to springboard off of here, springboard off and continue moving up, okay? So that's all I wanted to cover there. But it ties into here. You can also see it's here, but we also have this inverse head and shoulders that may be playing out. And I forget what the technical target on that is. I thought that pushed us up towards 48,000. We can take a quick look at that. But the inverse head and shoulders, this is a rough target here. The inverse head and shoulders is still in play. And it looks like, it looks like it puts us over 41,000, okay? But the main reason that I was bullish on this monthly close is because I gave you a lot of things to watch for. I tried to give you tidbits of information on the most important things to look for on different Bitcoin charts. We covered at an exhaustive pace, losing my words here, but we exhaustively covered the Bitcoin chart when I returned to the live stream last Wednesday. We spent the entire live stream talking about Bitcoin charts. And I tried to give you several key things to watch for. And so far, everything's been panning out great, okay? But on the weekly, the main thing that I had asked you guys to keep an eye on is the 200 simple moving average. That's the pink line. I said, I don't care if we wick below it. It doesn't matter. Wicks are an expression of volatility. What you want to see is you want to make sure that on a weekly basis, you're having candle body closes that are maintaining themselves at or above the 200 simple moving average. Because if we had gotten a weekly close that was down in this area, if a candle body closed occurred down here, it would have increased the likelihood that now, since we were below the moving average, it would act as resistance, and there's a heightened risk for this sort of scenario with lower lows and lower highs. Wasn't anticipating it, but of course there's always a probability for everything. So the fact that, let's kind of put this in context. This past week, we opened at 26,750. We went as low as 25,900. The highest peak price was 28,250. We managed to close near the peak price at about 28,100, right? So where we closed this past week was almost at the highest point that price had reached that week. You can see this. That's what is denoted by this green thick body. The green thick body is telling us, and there's not much of a wick up here, it's telling us that we managed to close near the highest point that we had been all week. Very bullish candle, and it also caused us to break out of this falling wedge here. Very, very bullish. Now, the other chart that I wanted to get into here, I had just tweeted this out. Actually, I apologize. I want to take a step back for a moment. One more thing on Bitcoin that I wanted to cover. I have tirelessly spoken to the idea or premise that the point in time, and by the way, thumbs up for everyone tuning in. I appreciate the support. I know it's Memorial Day. If you're choosing to spend part of your Memorial Day with me, I mean, one, you're a nerd just like me and you love charts. You're geeking out with me. But two, I appreciate the support. Appreciate the support very much. But one thing that I have consistently stated is that my belief is that we're at a similar consolidation point right now that we were at in late September 2020, and now we're starting to really get into the October 2020 consolidation point. But there's something else that I wanted to point to with that notion, keeping that in mind, what I just shared with you, as well as history not repeating but often rhyming. Of course, this tweet has gotten a lot of attention. Sometimes it's the most simplistic artwork that you put up for a chart that garners the most attention. So this has gotten a lot of attention, at least for me. I don't have a lot of followers on Twitter. I only have about 16,000, I think. So is it 16,000? Do I have 16,000 followers? I honestly forget. Oh, 12.6 thousand, sorry. So I don't have a lot of followers, but this has gotten a decent amount of attention here. And so the tweet is, do you see what I see? This is not 2019. I had also tweeted something out earlier that, can we all agree at this point that if we, this is not 2019. If you go back to 2019, and let me show you what I mean by 2019. This is what everyone has been comparing the current time to. This move right here, okay? Now, if this was true, this occurred in a very short period of time within a few months. It was an extremely parabolic move that was unsustainable. And you can see we had a gravestone doji here, clear sign of a trend reversal, and you can see we had a downtrend, right? That has not occurred at present day. This has been a much smoother stair-step sort of rotation up. We have been building the basic building blocks of a bullish narrative in a more healthy, sustainable manner. Higher highs and higher lows, okay? So if we go back in time, the thing that I've been eyeing here is, yes, during the beer virus, while this was a V-shaped recovery, you can see, regardless, we have an inverse head and shoulders here, right? We had a shoulder here, a topping point. We had our bottom here. This is the head. We came up here and had an initial topping point and consolidation. This is the right shoulder. And then we came up into this orange space, and this is where I believe we're at right now. You can see something similar is going on right here, right here, right here, and now right here. I'm drawing the comparison that, and again, it's not about, follow the logic here. It's not that we're expecting these exact price movements to occur over here. When you're playing sort of pattern recognition, you're looking for something that looks similar in nature to what is occurring in present day. You're going to the past and saying, wow, this looks really similar to what I saw here, you know? And it also intuitively makes sense that we're seeing something similar in nature, and it's not surprising given that this movement here, this was the bottom of our wave 2 correction here. This was a massive acceleration in price, and this was our wave 3 top, right? So it's not surprising that as we've seen our correction bottom at the bottom of wave 4 here, after we topped at wave 3, that we're seeing some sort of move up similar for our final and 5th blow off top here, 5th wave up, okay? Last thought here, okay, for all those who think Bitcoin's not going to new all-time highs this year, even if it bleeds into, and I've said, even if I'm off by a couple months and it bleeds into early next year, for all those who think that's an impossibility, I'm a moon boy, I'm smoking something. I assure you I don't smoke anything, but I'm smoking something. I would like to remind you how everyone got faked out back here, thinking that once we broke 60, I think it was 62 or 64,000 back here, we got up to $69,000, right? And myself included, I was completely faked out by this. I thought that this move here from 28,000, okay, all the way up to 69,000, I thought we were on our way to 100,000 plus. This was the big move we were waiting for. I was all fucking ready for it, and I was wrong, okay? I think the same thing is going on right now. There are a lot of people who do not believe that this thing is going to go to an all-new all-time high soon. I think we are in the same situation right now. What's up, Ryan? Okay? Just like people down here when we were at 28,000 thought it could not go any lower than 28,000. Guys, we went all the way down to 15 point, whatever the hell it was down here, 15.2, 15.3. I'm saying in most situations, the majority, the herd, the consensus, they're going to be wrong. It's nauseating. Is there a comment in here, I believe? Oh, make it so. I got to like that. Christ. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Let It Be, Wave 5. You're damn right. So, easy to make some lines and make it bullish. Your blue box is the 2000. Okay. I can't find the comment that I was looking for, but essentially there are a lot of people commenting on a lot of my tweets and a lot of other tweets, and we'll get into Matic in a moment here, who constantly speak about this 4-year cycle. And I think that there is just such a herd mentality right now around what needs to happen with this fundamental halving of the Bitcoin reward and the deflationary fundamental aspect of Bitcoin, that this is always what happens, that people are just going to be proven wrong. And it's always easy, hindsight 2020, to look back on things and say, oh, this chart and this chart were telling us this, and oh, that's what this meant. But I'm trying to do that now. I'm trying to set you guys up with education and knowledge and logic to say, hey, we can't just look at one chart and say this happens every 4 years. How about we look at all these other things that are running counter to that spit in the face of the 4-year cycle? And we've covered so many different charts that speak to that, okay? So that is still the camp that I'm in until proven wrong. Now let's get into Matic here. Real quick on the price indicators, one thing that I did want to touch on here, similar to Bitcoin, and this is why I feel like this is this goes conjointly with the fact that I do believe June's going to be a very bullish month. There are a lot of people that are just very impatient with Matic and think that it's just boring and it's stagnant and it's not doing anything, and everyone's talking about Arbitrum, and you know, they don't think that the price is going to do anything. This is one of the most bullish charts in crypto. You pull up any chart, I would challenge you to pull up any chart that has as much price data as this that is more bullish than this. This is an extremely bullish chart. We've been building the higher highs and higher lows here. The stochastic RSI, now what the stochastic RSI is going to tell us is there momentum picking up? Is there strength building within the price? We just got a bullish cross. We're below the 20 trigger line. History says when we've gotten above the 20 trigger line with these crosses, we've seen these large runs in price, okay? So as we come up here, again, I'm just using history and my expectations for June within the market. I'm anticipating a large move up here in Matic. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me that by the end, I don't want you guys to quote me on a specific price here, but just to illustrate my point on how quickly things can move, it would not surprise me by the end of June to be pushing up towards $2, okay, to double in price. That wouldn't surprise me one bit, okay? Just keep an eye on it. We have several areas of resistance here. Once we start clearing this 157 area, you can see that for me personally, there are other areas of price confluence in here we could draw. There's probably a psychological level around $1. But after we clear $1.74, there really is a lot of white space in here between $1.74 and $2.54. This thing could really move quickly. Again, I went on record last year and I made a bold prediction, and I said that Polygon Matic would break into the top 10. Check mark. I made a more recent, bolder prediction that by the end of this year, I'm pretty sure I said by the end of this year, maybe I'll pull it up tomorrow. But by the end of this year, I think I had said that Polygon Matic would be in the top 5, or it would be, I forget if I said it would be within the top 4. If you remove the stable coins, basically it would be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then I said it would be Binance and then Matic, or Matic and then Binance. But either way, I'm predicting it to make an even stronger move and get up into that top 5, okay? Really start breaking through, get past XRP. Where is... let me see. Let's take a quick gander at the coin market cap here. So yeah, so Polygon Matic right now, we're sitting at number 9, okay? Where I would anticipate it going is definitely, I anticipate it shooting past Doge, Cardano, and XRP, and getting up here towards BNB, okay, and possibly flipping BNB. Now, right now, Polygon Matic is an 8.5 billion, okay, and Binance is a 48.5, right? So just to get up to levels of where, I want to get this exact actually. So just to get up to levels of where Binance is at, it has to do roughly a 5.7x, okay? So you're talking, if Binance remains stagnant in USD value, you're talking about it making, a move up to $5. So if Binance remains relatively stable in value and Polygon Matic started shooting up dramatically in value towards $5, now you're talking about a market capitalization value that is rivaling Binance. However it plays out, however the shifts occur, I do anticipate Matic to make an even stronger push and surpass XRP. Okay, this isn't me dogging on XRP or Cardano or Dogecoin. It's just what I see in the charts. Again, I would encourage you to bring a chart to me that is stronger with as much price history as Matic. It's just a fact. It's just what I see in the charts. So I think it's just a matter of a short period of time until we break this all-time high at $2.92. Okay. Happy Memorial Day, Josh. Glad to see you in here. Ethereum, guys, nothing too new on Ethereum. Only thing I want to update you on, very good to see. We maintain the $1,800 level. I've stressed on this channel that I try to keep things stupid simple on this channel. I don't want to overcomplicate things, right? Let's just maintain price levels of above 1,800 in terms of candle body closes. That's what we've done. We're looking good. Next major area of resistance, really, we want to get above these areas here at like 2,100. But I have 22, 25, and 2,800. Again, I am expecting a very strong move in Ethereum soon. And the stochastic RSI, once again, is sort of alluding to that. You can see based on the prior weekly close, we are above 20 on the stochastic RSI. And we have a bullish cross, 32 over 29. The other thing to keep in mind with Ethereum is we've covered this chart for a long time. This chart, even though it's taking a little longer than I anticipated, this chart is doing everything that I've spoken to in terms of what I've expected. This one has been working out great in relation to what I've expected. We're consolidating up along this descending line here, and you can also see we have an ascending line of support here. What I'm expecting, okay, further consolidation in here. Totally possible we could get a quick wick down here as Bitcoin makes a strong move, but we'll get a close up here, and I'm anticipating pushing up towards this all-time high value region, okay, over the course of this year. Again, my own thoughts. Thank you, Neffy. Happy Memorial Day and my health. I think last Friday was the first day where I really felt like myself for the first time. High energy level. Really didn't, nothing else really going on that I could tell. So, but I appreciate that. I'm doing much, much better, and I appreciate the concern on your end. Glad to have you in here. But again, my expectations for Ethereum, I think a realistic expectation is that, yes, I do think it's possible for Ethereum to, this is an extremely bullish chart. If we start flipping the relativity value for Bitcoin, which I'm anticipating, yes, I do think Ethereum can flip Bitcoin's market cap. But I think like I said, I think it's going to be temporary. I think it's something that could last part of a day, maybe one full day, 2 days at most. I don't think it's going to last long, okay, at least during this current movement. What will transpire 5 or 10 years from now? That's not what we're here for. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing in the charts in terms of in a shorter term time frame moving forward. FET, we can take a look at FET. FET chart, FetchAI looks great. I consider, it's funny you say that. I consider taking a position, but at this point, I sort of have isolated the projects I'm positioned in, and I don't want to start. There's a point of diversification where, in my opinion, you can be too diversified, where diversification is important. It's critical to the success of your portfolio. But if you start diversifying to the extent where you have 20 projects, you really got to ask yourself how successful you're going to be in selling out of all those things. And so I'm not in FetchAI. I don't think I'm going to establish a position. I have a couple crypto AI plays, but yes, the chart is looking good. If we have time, we can cover it today. If not, come back tomorrow. We'll take a look at it. Looking at the time, we might have time to cover it. ETC, I wanted to do a quick view on ETC and just give you my relative expectations here. I want you to focus on what essentially is a bars pattern from back here and just taking a similar price movement. Now, I'm not saying this is going to top in November, which is how it's outlaid. Could top in December, could top in January, February, March, April. This isn't the point to give you an exact time frame, but the point of this chart is to give you some level of appreciation for my own personal expectations for a project like Ethereum Classic. And how quickly the market moves. Again, I'm not here to discuss with you if you love Ethereum Classic. That's not what I'm here for. Look at this chart. Why would you not be bullish on this chart? And again, I'll say this to all the people who are here for Cardano or XRP. This thing outperformed both of those projects during its last run. So whatever you want to say about it, it's certainly from a price appreciation and rate of return perspective has outperformed a lot of other altcoins. I'll have to take a second look in terms of what a realistic price target is for Ethereum Classic. We can certainly take a look at that on another live stream. But I'm pretty sure I was looking at something over $300, maybe towards $500. I forget off the top of my head, but I think something in the $300 range is certainly very reasonable, which would be a 2x over its prior all-time high. Topped out at 175 last time. But this is how quickly the market can move. You can see, you know, we were down here in December of 20. We were sitting at, I mean, Christ, we were sitting at $6. And before you knew it, in May, okay, flash forward, was that 5 months? That wasn't even 5 months, guys. I mean, this is basically 4 months later, we went up to 175. Now, if we do, I can do the math in my head. That was like a 30x. That was like a 30x in 4 months. Again, complacency, what happens in this market is when you're in this phase, okay, you have a nice, I want you to think about market psychology for a moment. It's very important that you really listen to the words that I'm communicating to you right now because it will benefit you in this upcoming euphoric run. We're nowhere near euphoria, but it will be here soon, in my opinion. It's going to benefit you. We rode all the way down. We rode all the way down from $9, $10, all the way down to $3, and we're down here. Then we had this euphoric blast off from $4 up to 12. Okay, we did a 3x. Then we did this. Then we went down from 13, and then we're chipping chopping around $6. And it's just like, Christ, this is, what a shit coin. I guarantee you if you go on Twitter, there are people saying Ethereum Classic is a shit coin, right? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just fucking took off. You're sitting here at $6 at the beginning of December, or even here. I mean, again, we had to rise up from 6 all the way up to 15 and then back down to 7. You know, and again, it's easy if you can't read charts to say this is a piece of shit, it's a shit coin, it's not going anywhere. You're sitting at $7 at the end of January, guys, and watch what happened. In a mere, I mean, unbelievable how fast this market goes. And it's why I don't even do stocks anymore. It's just so bland. In 98 days, we went from $7 to $175. This is how quickly this market moves. And that's why I'm saying that the greatest, if you actually study these assets, okay, and you study their historical rates of return and when they occur, what you will find is you have a long period of consolidation and correction. This is to weed out the impatient. These are the individuals that don't know what they're doing. They bought at the top, they're out. Or maybe they're buying on the way down, and then it's just doing this back and forth for 6, 8, 12 months, 15, 18 months, okay? And they're like, I'm fucking out. This is like a scam. This shit's not going anywhere. And then in 3 to 4 months, you have assets pulling 20, 30, 40, 50, and 100 X's. That is how the rate of appreciation that you're going to see in your portfolio is going to occur over the shortest amount of time over that entire cycle, okay? You have long periods of consolidation and correction, and you have a quick burst up of parabolic price movement that does not last long. And this is why I say to you guys, for any asset that you hold in this market, you need to assess current price action and be reasonable and logical and level-headed about where you want to sell. If you don't have a game plan about where you want to sell your assets, again, there's a difference. I'm not going to call it a paper gain. I'm going to call it a digital gain. There's a difference between looking on your ledger and seeing that your investment in Bitcoin, well, let's use an altcoin given the volatility. There's a difference going in your ledger and saying, wow, my Matic portfolio is up to $100,000. This is unbelievable. I remember when this thing was sitting at $5,000, okay? I have $100,000. It's a digital gain. It's nothing. It's just sitting there in limbo until you press sell. Once you sell it, as dirty as fiat is, you're not materializing the gains. It's not what's called a realized gain. So just keep that in mind, okay? Just please keep that in mind. Kathleen, welcome in. You never have to apologize. I'm happy to have you on the live stream as always. Yeah, you guys join when you can join. I just appreciate you taking time to come in here. I know everybody has busy lives. So XRP is starting to get me a little excited here. And the reason I meant to hit on this on Bitcoin. Bitcoin also, the 50 simple moving average on the weekly is curling up. Look at XRP, what it's doing. First off, you can see we got the higher lows going in, right? And we have this sort of base along this area. around like the high 50s. Once we break the high 50s, I think the 65 to 77 mark is going to come quick. Then it's just a matter of time until that psychological level of $1. But you can see the 50 simple moving average on the weekly is beginning to curl up. But now what's going on, even more importantly, is price is starting to push up towards this 200 simple moving average. I've spoken to the importance of XRP getting back above the 200 simple moving average, which is roughly at 50 cents. Once you see a candle body close, not a wick, a candle body close on XRP, getting above the 200 weekly moving average, have a little bit of just a little celebration, just a mini celebration, okay? Because we've regained this area as support instead of being resistance, this moving average. Next on deck would be 57, 66 cents, and I have roughly 77 cents. Then you're talking really psychological levels close to $1, and you're talking about entertaining downward resistance here. You can see all this downward resistance. We're eventually going to, push up into this area here, okay? The other beautiful thing I would point out is there's a lot of space between 258 and $1.35. Now we could wick out somewhere up here towards $2, $1.92, but there really is a lot of open space between $1.34 and 250. This thing could run. Again, it's funny. The way I look at it is, again, that the premise behind this live stream is it's all in the charts. But it's funny how news events kind of coincide with price. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me one bit if June, again, this bullish month that I'm anticipating, if we do get the news on the SEC lawsuit, it's favorable for Ripple, and at that time you see prices moving, sky high. And same with XLM. I've spoke about the sister coin Stellar Lumens, which would also have a material impact. One of the things that'll be interesting is to see what sort of price reaction we get from Algorand, because Algorand has been very suppressed. There's another asset that I consider taking a position in, given all the FUD surrounding it being deemed a security by Fucktard Gensler. By the way, he actually did change his name. It's not Gary Gensler anymore. It's Fucktard Gensler. Fucktard Gensler. That is his name. That's my message for him. So that's how I feel about that guy. But I haven't taken a position in Algorand, but that thing seems very suppressed in value. We should probably take a look at that. How is Algo looking? I think it was like at 15 cents. It's dropped substantially in value. Where are we at? Oh, wow. Look at that. And the funny thing is, or not the funny thing, but the thing is, what I spoke to on this chart, I said on this chart for Algorand, we spoke to this very recently. If you hold Algo, you better hope this 14-cent level holds. Okay, we're down. This is a crucial spot for Algorand. Very critical spot for Algorand if you're an Algorand holder. Okay, I'm not telling you what I want to see happen here. I'm just reading the charts. Okay, all I'm doing is reading the charts. But you can see, again, this is just basic technical analysis. If we break this area, we have nothing but wicks here. There's nothing to hold the price up. There's nothing to hold the price up if we break 14 cents. This thing could plummet all the way down to 9 cents. I'm just making you aware of that. Man, this thing has fallen hard. Fallen very, very hard. And I really do feel for anyone who's been invested in this thing. I'm not saying it's not going to come back and it's not going to be perfectly fine and, pull a 20x from here. I'm not saying that, but man, it has fallen hard. I feel bad for anyone invested in there. I wanted to quick point out Synapse here. I know that I've tweeted about this. Haven't tweeted about it in a little while. This is the technical target for the falling wedge. This is a 3-day Heikin-Ashi view. You can see some of the price indicators are starting to pick up. Stochastic RSI as a positive cross, still below 20, so we need to see it get above 20. MACD is flattening out. Histogram's turning less negative. It looks like we might be getting a cross up soon as long as momentum can sustain itself. But in the shorter term, this is just a shorter term play. You can see right now this is a valid falling wedge. It's wide up there and then it gets really narrow, right? And I have the technical target right up to right up to this area of resistance, actually 115. So there's actually an area of resistance right there at the technical target. Now that would just be a short-term swing play if you wanted to get into this. Never financial advice, but if you wanted to get in, you could play the target around 115. I don't see the price stopping there. I mean, ultimately, I'm bullish on this asset regardless. So you could see something bounce up into this area, have a correction and then continue on the way up. But something to keep an eye on that I wanted to point to. Artificial liquid intelligence. This is one I created a video on. I have a TA video. You can check that out. It's Alethea AI. You can see we're having some nice follow through, what I would call follow through. This has been in a huge falling wedge and a huge bull pennant too. If you zoom out, I've spoken to this plenty of times. Okay. This is one of those assets that I am invested in that has an attractive, product platform, in my opinion, and plays into that crypto AI space. It's one of the tokens that I'm invested in for a lot of the euphoria that I believe is going to come into AI within this crypto space. I actually think, going on a quick side tangent, maybe a conversation for another day, I'd be curious, but to get everyone's thoughts. What's up, Jorge? I am Mr. BBC. I now own the name. But it'll be really interesting to see what plays out with AI. I think AI is getting to a point where it's the type of technology that is going to seemingly accelerate overnight. I think there could be a lot of interesting and potential scary things that play out, as soon as, that could play out over the coming months. I think this technology in general is accelerating at a rapid rate. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of reading. I really try to stay informed in the financial technology space, even outside of cryptocurrencies. And there's a lot of concerning things with AI. I'm sure that you guys have watched videos or heard things, the putting videos out there with people being impersonated. The voices sound real. The videos look real. It's pretty scary stuff. You take that, you extrapolate what could be done with that information to cause civil unrest. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole here, but I think there could be some pretty scary things to play out in the months ahead with AI. But we'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, I didn't want to get on a tangent there. But as far as this chart, I really like what I'm seeing here because we have a falling wedge, okay? And it is a bull pennant, but I want to focus on the falling wedge. And this is a breakout. Now, I want to be clear about this. Whoop. Shit. I drew that a couple days ago. There we go. Let me get this off. Okay. This big green candle is a breakout from the falling wedge. This red candle right here, this is a 2-day chart. This serves as confirmation. What do I mean by that? Well, when we were above the falling wedge, we came and we back tested. We actually went back into the falling wedge, but we back tested it with this wick. Okay, so this prior descending resistance served as support, and now we're springboarding off. Seemingly, again, every time we're on this channel, we always talk about descending resistance and what happens when you break descending resistance. The most bullish scenario is to back test it as resort, as support, and then springboard off it and go higher and create the higher highs and higher lows, right? So I don't anticipate this to shoot right up to 7 cents or 10 or 12 cents. But if this really is the beginning of a true reversal, which I do believe that it is, again, this is a low liquidity asset. This thing can move quick. Would not surprise me. Would not surprise me to get some sharp, big follow-through movements here over the course of the coming 6 to 8 weeks here. Okay, again, I'm anticipating June to be a very bullish month. And I have some targets up here. We can kind of talk about at a later point. You can see that I've drawn out some targets up here between 26 cents and 87 cents. Okay, not unrealistic, I think, for this asset to achieve price levels up to that level. So that's something we can revisit at a later point. That's all I had prepared today. You know what? I want to take a look at one more chart while I have everyone here. Someone brought up FetchAI. So let's take a look at that one. We'll have a conversation about that. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. I think tomorrow what I'm going to do, and I'll be back at normal times between 5 and 6. I think tomorrow what I'll do is maybe spend a little bit more time on altcoins. We went through a fair amount, but there's still a fair amount we didn't cover. And I know my audience at this point pretty well. I know there's some coins out there, Solana, ADA, and others that we haven't hit on that we can take a look at. So yeah, FetchAI is a very bullish chart. This certainly is something that, let's take a look. This is on a 3-day. Let's actually look at the weekly. Okay, right now we want to see the MACD kind of flatten out here. You can see it, the histogram is starting to turn light red, which is good. What that's telling me is some of that seller exhaustion is coming in. It looks like I'm telling a weather forecast. The winds are moving in at 10 miles per hour. The seller exhaustion is coming in, and the bullish momentum is beginning to pick up. So we just want to see the MACD flatten out here, this histogram get a little smaller in size, but the fact that it's lighter red is good. RSI is at a decently healthy level at 47. Now, the stochastic RSI, this is what you really want to keep an eye on, okay? This is the main price indicator I would start to keep an eye on for FetchAI on the weekly, okay? You can see we're under 20. We've just started to cross up. You see how the blue is above the orange? You see this here? We need it to get all the way up here. Now, once we start to get above the 20 trigger line and we experience something like this, you should see a significant move in price similar to this right here, okay? And I have areas of resistance here. I'm not going to redraw them. I drew this on a different time frame, but you can see 41, 48, 60, and 65 cents are my areas of resistance. We're sitting at 26 cents right now. Wow. Yeah, it seems like an advantageous opinion to get in my opinion. The other thing that you could point to here, you could draw this a couple different ways. We have a few areas of descending resistance. Again, you can draw this. There's no right or wrong way to draw this as long as you don't draw it through candle bodies, okay? I like to draw areas of downward resistance more like the bottom line. And the reason I say that is because there's more touches. More touches equal more confluence. There's a touch here, a touch here, a touch here, a touch here, right? Versus the top line here, if we remove this, we only have a touch here and a touch here. You can draw it any way you want. But we also have a downward area of resistance we need to push through. So we'll have to see what happens with FetchAI, but the chart's looking very good and promising for a turnaround in the month of June. Again, anticipating a very bullish month for the month of June. One last thing, guys, before you tune out real quick. I've hit on this a few times, but tomorrow I will, unless if something unforeseen comes up like last week. I shouldn't say that. Knock on wood. I shouldn't say that. No, nothing is going to unexpectedly come up. It'll be fine. I will be back at normal time tomorrow between 5 and 6 Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday, I'm really aiming for Wednesday as long as I'm not dead tired, because I have a very long day. I have to get up astronomically early on Wednesday. Somewhat by choice, but you know. But Wednesday is an exciting day because what we're going to get on Wednesday is we're going to get monthly closes for the month of May. So we're going to be opening up the month of June. It'll provide us an opportunity on the charts that make sense, that have enough price data, things like Digibyte, things like we can even look at Litecoin, we can look at Cardano, we can look at XRP, we can look at Bitcoin, we can look at Ethereum. We can look at a lot of different charts, but we can see how the price indicators look and the price data looks now that we have a new candlestick that has printed and we're starting off the month of June. Now that candlestick will set to close with the day. It coincides with how the day closes. That will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure that you click the bell icon for notifications. If you can join me live on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's what I'm going for. We can watch the charts close together and have a conversation about what's taking place, okay? And we'll kick off the live stream focusing on Bitcoin, and then we'll get into some other altcoins. We could even look at maybe Bitcoin dominance, total market cap, things like that. So maybe even the DXY. Probably take a look at the S&P as well. S&P is looking very bullish. Keep an eye on that. Remember, 43.25 for that S&P. Keep an eye for 43.25. I hope everyone appreciated the content. If you did, make sure you share this with at least one person. I want to try to get this content out to more people. Again, small channel, trying to grow the channel, trying to grow the subscriber base. I appreciate everyone who consistently tunes in and shows support, hits the thumbs up, drops me a comment. Believe me, I appreciate the engagement. To everyone new tuning in, I hope I found a new subscriber in you and you found the content helpful. If you did, make sure to spread awareness and carry the education forward. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.